Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We are picking up basically right where we left off with our Mars base surface resupply food drop pod missile things. Yeah, right here in low Earth orbit, about to make our transfer to Mars. And I know what you're kind of thinking, that this looks a little different. The spacing is acceptable, and there's far fewer of them than there were last time. The DV figures on the upper stage are significantly different from what they were when we last left this craft. And yes, all of these things are true, and I will get into explaining exactly what I did as soon as we are angled into this node and we can get a good light on our HG3 from our B upper stage. Yep, there we go. And there's a good light. So anyway, we're going to cut back to the VAB here for just a second. And this is our original Mars Lab food missile project thing. And you'll see right down here, it comes in at about 330.199 ton. And that was actually a mistake, because a lot of these things just don't have fuel in them. So what I did was make more than a few changes. I actually reduced the number of resupply pods that are going down, and we're coming in at about 330.267 ton. Now, if you remember, we did have about 900 meters per second left in our launch stage, so I think that's acceptable. But as you'll see, there are far fewer of these drop pods, and to be honest with you, not all of them are fully fueled. They all have a fresh or a full supply tank, but some of them don't have all the fuel in them. So I actually tried to top off some of the aerosine and nitrogen tetroxide from the B upper stage and its thruster tanks. But as you can see, a lot of these things just don't have a whole lot of fuel. Some of them are fully fueled, some of them have none fuel, and some of them have half fuel. I was really just kind of banking on there being a lot of excess fuel in the capture stage after orbital insertion, that maybe we could top some of these guys off. But with keeping all of the tonnage as close to the same as I could, and making the changes before we made our transfer burn, I feel like we're within the realm of fair, because all of the clipping would have just destroyed the entire vessel as soon as we decoupled any single one of them anyway. So comms have been deployed. I don't remember if I did that during the live stream or if I did that recently. Probably both. Yeah, but we are just going to have to make a very small ignition from our capture stage in order to round out our trans-Mars injection burn, which does in fact take a very long time. I mean, this thing is down to 300 some odd parts, so it's still very frame ratey, which is why I have sped this up so greatly. And further, in the interest of time, I just went ahead and ramped up the time acceleration thing a little bit, and actually going with some physics warp, which surprised me that this thing did not shake itself apart. But there's our target, Mars, right off in the distance. Hopefully we'll be getting there soon, provided we can avoid any more Kraken strikes, which have become more and more of a bane of my existence. And cutting back on the physics warp as we round out the last little bit of our B upper stage, we will unlock just a few of the tanks here on our transfer stage, and then at some point the game crashed, which is what that little edit was about. But I was able to jump back to the craft at right around the same time, although I did have to completely replot the node, and it ends up being about 500 more meters per second to put us on course, which was absolutely massively disappointing, because that is a very large chunk of our orbital insertion fuel. As you can tell, we have no heat shield here. We're really relying on this thing being able to put itself into low Mars orbit, and then just a couple corrections that we can make off our thrusters. It doesn't strictly need to be in the same plane as Harmonia Station, but it would absolutely make our lives a whole lot easier as far as the resupplies go. So a few touch-ups on the thrusters, and we will get our orbit pretty close as to where we need it to be. And very sorry for the short episode today, but that is going to have to do it for this one, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it, and I'll see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.